Hello my friends and welcome to Flying Circus Models. This is the full build of a very tiny model from Ukrainian company MikroMir and their new model Pensuti-Caproni Triplane. It's their new release kit that was recently revealed, and when I ordered it I thought it will be a quick 1 or 2 week build. Even though it's a brand new kit, from the first glance I realized that the build will not be easy and quick. Yes, kit has nice photo etch parts as well as a 3D printed engine. However, here is the first issue. Supports, they were not removed before curing, and it's going to be difficult to remove them carefully. The middle wing doesn't have aileron line on the bottom side. Not a big deal, but still. As you can see, plastic parts are not clear and have flash, and some kind of plastic powder or bubbles that will have to be sanded. The seat looks not correct, and again the plastic parts are not clean, and that's the new kit. Moreover, I will need to pull a landing gear axle from the sprue, taking into the account the quality of the plastic itself. It's not gonna be the easy task. Overall, my first impression from the kit was, really? Come on, MikroMir, you could do it much better. Anyway, let's remove all parts from the sprues and clean them. As I mentioned before, almost each big part has some kind of bubbles or powder effect on the surface, and that has to be sanded. When I was sanding the middle wing, I noticed that not only aileron lines are missing, but strut holes on the bottom side too. Central struts go through the middle wing, so I had to drill them, otherwise I wouldn't be able to put them. Once the hole was drilled, I used a scalpel blade to make it bigger and look more accurate. Now the strut goes through the wing easily, and it's the time to cut ailerons. I just used a simple scriber for that and very carefully cut the first line, so it's not too deep in case if it doesn't go straight and I will need to sand it. Once the first line is there, we can add 2-3 more with a little bit more pressure. Also, I scribed elevator too and cleaned the line with the help of Tamiya glue. As I said before, the seat back is wrong. Based on the plans I found online, it has to be made of wood with the round holes in order to reduce weight. So I used the plastic sheet, cut approximate size, and using a candle heated it. Plastic took the shape of the kid's seat. Then I removed the extras with the help of a scalpel and file and made the seat back shape more accurate. With the 0.8 mm drill bit, I drilled holes and cleaned them. That's how the finished seat looks like in comparison with the kit one. I made a floor using the same plastic sheet, then painted both fuselage sides, seat, instrument panel and propeller with Vallejo beige color as linen and base for wood painting. Because there is not a lot of information online about the plane, I had no idea what type of propeller it had. So I decided to paint it as a simple laminated propeller from the same type of wood. I did it using my regular painting technique, small dots of oil paint, and using a flat dry brush, I painted wood layers. The floor, seat and instrumental panel were painted in the same way. In order to make oils a bit easier to use, I added few drops of mineral spirit. Oils usually dry 2-3 days. The time depends on the thickness of paint. So once paint dried, I covered all wooden parts with the layer of Future. The engine is 3D printed and has gray details, but be careful, it's so small and you can break them easily. It was simply painted in black. The internal rigging was made also using my regular technique. However, I didn't use anchor points. I just drilled 0.4 millimeter holes, cut many brass tubes and glued easy-line thread. And again, because there is very little information about the plane, as well as pictures, I had no idea what kind of seat belts it had. So I just used Eduard photo-etched seat belts for French planes. I just bent them so they match the seat and glued using the super glue. By the way, if you like my videos, please subscribe to the channel and support me on Patreon. You can use a special QR code to do it, and I will leave a link in the description. Now it's time to glue both fuselage sides together. Then I glued the floor and seat. When they dried, I added a control stick and pedals. Also, using the same easy line, I imitated control cables that go from pedals to rudder. And I can close the fuselage. A lot of work was done out of camera because it was very hard to match and glue engine cowling. As you can see, I used a lot of super glue. Now I need to sand it and restore panel lines using the scriber tool. Well, it was not very easy task because the model is so small and tiny, but I managed to do it. Anyway, the model was ready for painting, and I covered it with Mr. Surfacer 1500 primer. Then I masked all rib lines and on the wings and painted with Mr. Hobby Black paint. Also, I painted for the edge parts that will be painted with aluminum later. Masks were removed and you can see shades on the ribs. The model was painted with the Vallejo beige color as linen. I used a very thin paint mix and a lot of layers in order not to lose the pre-shading effect. Then I masked linen and painted all metal parts, including wheel spokes with Mr. Metal Color aluminum paint. The next step was to prepare the rigging, and I marked anchor points based on the plans and those limited pictures I found online. For anchor points, I used resin 1 from Gazpacho models in 1/48 scale. However, I feel that even with 1/48 scale, they are too big for this tiny aircraft. I glued them with a small drop of super glue, and I tried to do it with the right angle with the rigging line. Then I cut many brass tube pieces and that was 0.6mm tube from Albion Alloys. I really like it because you can cut them with the simple scalpel knife. The main thing is to keep the low pressure and not to press them too much. First ends of sides of the rigging I glued on the middle wing before the top wing installation. In this case, it will be easier to finish the rigging process. Then I glued all struts to the top wing and glued it to the fuselage and middle wing. I wanted to say the rigging process was easy and straightforward, but it wasn't. The whole structure was super unstable and fragile. On top of that, the plane is so small that I couldn't use my building jig. I had to improvise and I used paint boxes instead. And the wings moved with every line up until the moment when I added 4 lines on each wing section. The struts are so tiny too that they didn't help at all, and I scared to break them too. But the rigging process is usual and you can find it in the how-to video, and I will put the link into the description as well. One more thing, I had to add 1 cm diameter brass tube piece to the front lower struts because they were shorter than the back ones. Instead of using Kit's axle, I cut and glued 0.8 mm brass tube, and also instead of pulling the sprues, I cut a 0.6 mm tube and glued them as axle supports. Then I added more rigging to the rudder and elevator. With the help of dry pigments, I imitated the dust effect on the wheels and tail section. The final touch is to glue the propeller and the model is completed. I can't say that I really enjoyed this kit, but if you really want to build these tiny birds, you can buy it. Otherwise, sorry MikroMir, but I don't recommend it. Anyway, as usual, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel, press like button and leave your comments below. I read and reply to all of them. Also, if you would like to support my channel, you can do it on Patreon, where you can see my videos early. Also, I share some interesting pictures there. The link is in the description. Thanks for watching and see you in the next builds.